Welcome to Ayur Times. Today we're exploring a really profound concept from Ayurveda, Achara Rasayana.
hmm
It's much more than just a simple set of guidelines, isn't it? It's more like a whole code for living, really. How we interact with the world for, holistic well-being.
Absolutely. And it's so fundamental to preventive medicine in Ayurveda.
Hmm.
Svasarita, as it's known.
Right.
The core idea really is about cultivating a healthy mind,
Mm.
a mind you actually have some, well, good control over.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. This idea that our own behavior can be a major source of stress
Exactly.
and how much that impacts our health overall. I mean, we all deal with stress, right? But this suggests our whole approach to people, to things, plays a huge role.
You've really hit on something critical there. And if you
Right.
connect it to the bigger Ayurvedic picture, it looks at everything equally for health, the
Mhm.
physical, psychological, social, behavioral, food, even spiritual aspect.
All of it together.
All of it. And Achara Rasayana is key for gaining, significant control over the mind. This is so important because, well, the thinking is that the mind is involved in maybe 90% of psychosomatic diseases.
90%. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those conditions where mental or emotional stuff like worry or conflict shows up physically.
Can you give an example of that? Like, how does that connection work?
Sure. Think about knowing a certain food isn't great for you. Maybe it gives you indigestion,
Oh,
right?
great.
But you eat it anyway just because it tastes good.
Yeah.
And then later you feel awful physically.
Yeah, I've been there.
That gap between knowing better and doing it anyway, that's a sign of an uncontrolled mind leading directly to a physical problem.
That makes perfect sense. So the main goal of Achara Rasayana isn't just symptom management. It's about achieving real mental satisfaction, like a worry-free life.
Precisely. And it's to suggest that this kind of deep satisfaction, this worry-free state, it comes from within. From being truly honest, having integrity in your actions.
So integrity is key.
Absolutely. The idea is to live by principles like honesty, trust, faith, love, truth. It's about making your actions match your values. That's seen as the path to real well-being, mental and physical. It's a standard for living.
Okay. Now, diving a bit deeper, what are the key factors identified as causing these sorts of modern issues, these psychosomatic or lifestyle problems?
Well, the common culprits are pointed out. Stress, obviously, anxiety, that uncontrolled mind we talked about, bad habits,
Yeah.
and also this interesting phrase, a lack of wisdom of good and bad.
Basically, ignorance.
Ignorance. But we often know what's good for us, don't we? Intellectually, at least.
That's the crucial point. We often have the wisdom, but we act ignorant in the moment. We make choices that don't serve us.
Right.
Achara Rasayana offers a direct way to tackle that, to move from just knowing to actually living consciously, recognizing those moments we slip up, even when we know better, and having a framework to get back on track. That really resonates. So let's get into the specifics, starting with the psychological side. The pillars mentioned are honesty, truth, and peace. What does that look like in practice?
It lays out a pretty clear set of behaviors for psychological harmony. First, being truthful, not just big truths, but in everyday words and actions, honesty.
Okay.
Then, staying calm, akrodya, meaning not getting easily angered, even when things are tough. It's about managing your inner state.
Not suppressing, but managing.
Exactly. And actively choosing peace over violence, ahamsaka. That includes harsh words or thoughts, not just physical acts.
Important distinction.
Very. Also, cultivating a genuinely cheerful disposition, ayasa. Being calm, cool, quiet, prashanta. Speaking kindly, prayavati, words that don't hurt. And finally, regular meditation or chanting, japa para, to quiet the mind.
It sounds like a complete blueprint for inner composure.
It really is. These all work together.
Okay, so moving from our inner world to how we interact with others, the social and behavioral aspects. Trustworthiness, honesty, love are the foundations here.
Yes, and the emphasis on integrity in your social life is fascinating. Being trustworthy, satyavati again, and honest in family and social dealings. Building that reliability.
Makes sense for strong relationships.
Definitely. Then there's avoiding alcohol and observing abstinence. Nivrutam madhya metanath. It's partly about discipline, but also how substances can cloud judgment and disrupt harmony.
Right, leading to actions you regret.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And respecting elders, teachers, deva brahmana, akarya guru, varuda arkana autam. It's seen as vital for community, for wisdom transfer.
Valuing experience.
Yes. Being devoted to love, avoiding violence on Rusham Sam, being merciful, compassionate, nitya karunavedi, showing empathy.
What about ego? That's mentioned too.
Ah, yes. Living without ego, anahankrudam. It's not just about arrogance, but that attachment to our limited self which causes so much trouble. Cultivating humility frees the mind.
Humility.
Serving elders, parents, the wise upasitaram vudorama. Again, fostering connection and humility. Having faith, astakanam, provides a sort of spiritual anchor. And finally, janat metamam, self-control over sensory cravings so desires don't lead you off course.
These are really profound guidelines for living together harmoniously.
They truly are. Very comprehensive.
And the spiritual dimension, meditation, helping others, reading good texts are the pillars there.
That's right. And the bigger idea is aligning with your purpose, your dharma, and finding that deep inner peace.
So how does that translate day to day?
Well, it includes being duty-bound, following ethics in your job, dharmashastra param, making your work meaningful and positive.
Acting with integrity at work.
Yes, and reading beneficial texts, ajatma prevenendriam, things that nourish you spiritually and calm the mind. Regular meditation, tapaswanam, for introspection and clarity. And helping those in need, charity dhanana nityam, embodying compassion actively.
It really integrates spirituality into everyday life, doesn't it? Not something separate.
Exactly, it's all interwoven.
Now, there are also very practical, personal aspects mentioned. Hygiene, adapting diet, and lifestyle.
Yes, this connects our inner state directly to how we care for ourselves day to day. Maintaining hygiene, chakrabaram, is fundamental. Physical cleanliness, impacting mental clarity.
Okay.
Getting balanced sleep, avoiding extremes of laziness or sleeplessness, amajagarana swapna, aiming for that natural rhythm, early to bed, early to rise.
That rhythm feels important.
It is. Also adapting to seasons and your environment. Desha kala pramanashnam, making changes to stay healthy as conditions change. Being skillful and wise, yukuchodnam, so you're not easily deceived. Cultivating discernment.
Discernment, that's interesting.
And overall self-control, jejakabhanan again, and all personal habits. Making conscious choices for long-term health. It's about being mindful and adaptable.
Little adjustments making a big difference.
Precisely.
And finally, food and nutrition are also included. How does that fit in?
It's fascinating how even diet is part of this. For instance, taking appropriate amounts of milk and ghee, intiyam kashirak grithashanam, but specifically based on your own digestion.
So personalized, not just a blanket rule.
Exactly. It's about self-awareness and taking a balanced diet overall, asankirnam, planning your eating habits thoughtfully. It shows that even food choices are part of this holistic path, emphasizing mindful eating.
Listening to your body.
Yes, and nourishing it wisely.
So pulling this all together, Achara Rasayana isn't just some ancient philosophy. It's seen as a therapeutic practice in itself, right?
Absolutely. It's a living approach. And its practical application is key. Practicing it helps reduce those psychosomatic issues and actively strengthens the mind, builds resilience.
Makes us stronger.
Yes. It really underscores that Ayurvedic view of health. Not just no disease, but complete well-being, mental, physical, social, spiritual. And it's achievable through how we consciously choose to live.
Building health from the inside out through our actions.
That's a great way to put it. Conscious conduct, ethical living, leading to resilience.
This brings us to a thought for you, our listeners, to consider. Given how much of our modern stress and illness seems linked to our minds and behaviors, what's maybe one single aspect of Achara Rasayana that you could think about integrating into your life starting today to cultivate a bit more of that worry-free existence? We really hope this exploration has given you some valuable insights today. For more discussions like this, please do subscribe to the Ayur Times channel. And if you have any questions or your own thoughts on Achara Rasayana, we'd genuinely love to hear them. Please leave a comment.